Hi, everybody. Welcome back to a special edition of Stefanie Drysdale's weekly cyber recap, number 20 for Friday, May 22nd. Today's special topic, COVID-19 monitoring for organizations and security teams. Ms. Stefanie, it's a topic that we need to talk about now because in the future, if we don't have the strategic planning in place, it's going to be problematic.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Chuck. We're kind of trying to constantly, and I think this is just kind of the way of things with technology, is that we're constantly figuring out new use cases for the expertise and the technologies. And great people like Carl, who run really, really amazing security teams and have all these great resources around him. He's constantly coming up with some really clever ways to leverage those things together to make it more relevant and actionable. And of course, you know, in new situations like COVID-19, we're happy to plug in and help. So Carl, thank you so much for joining us today and for coming to talk to us.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks for the invitation, this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it.
No, we appreciate it. So if you would just tell everyone a little bit about CNA and you and how your global presence, because you've got a lot of offices around the globe. So how that's been impacted by this pandemic.
Thanks, Stephanie. We have 84 locations worldwide, and my team is responsible for the health, life safety for all those locations. So when any incident occurs, and especially this one being as unprecedented as it is, or as a global pandemic, it really challenges us to be flexible, very responsive, and to provide a lot of data to our senior leadership to ensure the employee health and safety. Because at CNA, that is the first priority of our senior leadership, is the health and safety of our employees.
Absolutely. So obviously communication is really, really important in all of this. So both with your leadership team for their decision-making capabilities, as well as educating and protecting all of your CNA employees, how did you kind of approach this with no real precedent coming before it for like a global pandemic?
Well, it's really interesting because given our culture of the health and safety piece for employees, we actually had a very good response from the get-go. It was amazing to see different organizations collaborating together and getting all information out to the employees. It was a big transition for folks to go from their quote-unquote normal lives and going into the office and seeing each other and being able to go out places to being asked to stay home and not only work, but also to have to take care of their families and other considerations that they never had to address before. So from our end, we have a Global Security Operations Center, and that is our hub for intel intake. And I also have to take this opportunity to thank you and Prescient, because we did reach out to you, kind folks, and together we're able to come up with a solution to be able to get real-time data, more site-specific as opposed to just general state, which has helped us on a weekly basis and a real-time basis when needed to get the appropriate information to our senior leadership to make really relevant life, health, safety decisions.
Absolutely. No, we've loved it. It's been a really interesting use case, and we've had a lot of fun just being a part of your team on this one. So we appreciate that. So like from a security standpoint, as a security professional, has been in the industry for a very, very long time, been with CNA for a very long time. You know, what do you see coming next? What do you see on the horizon for what this new normal is going to look like, or what kind of, you know, milestones are you looking for to kind of go into the next steps? And will you try to go back to normal, or will you kind of try to, you know, figure out a new normal? What's that look like for you?
Well, it's really interesting. I think the challenge coming back is probably getting folks back into this new state. I don't know if everything will ever go back to the normal we knew. It's almost like we'll have to grow into the new normal in a phased-in approach. I think folks, given what has happened, have gotten used to staying in their homes, being physically apart from folks. I think that's going to be a big hurdle for most to get over. And also, given the considerations of some of the state orders and local ordinances, having to care for their children, potentially elderly parents, aunts, uncles, things of that nature, I really do see the challenge to be flexible, not only from a professional perspective, but also from a personal one, because I think the anxiety and some of the stress levels that you've referenced on earlier weekly recaps, I think that that's really going to be the biggest challenge corporations have, and probably society overall, is getting back to what we would like to do and get out and be able to see people.
Yeah, I agree. It's we're hearing a lot of people going to just solid remote work models, saying their employees don't have to come back at all, or some not for the rest of the year. I think that it's going to be challenging for companies who want to go back to the old work model.
Yeah, we're seeing that as well. We sit on different consortium of groups in the insurance industry and even outside our industry as well. And there really does seem to be no great hurry for anyone to get back into the office from the aspect of making sure that they're safe, that all the employee concerns are, taken into consideration, and to make sure that they're comfortable. And I know it's for CNA especially. That is our concern. It's really more the well-being from the emotional side, because an emotionally secure employee obviously will make somebody more productive. And that's probably our biggest challenge. And yet, from our senior leadership position, it's actually been met, I think, in a very, very successful way. Communication has been great, and also the team has been able to collaborate across the board, both internally and externally, to get the best information out to our folks.
So no, those are great points, Carl. I think that, as you mentioned earlier, it's one thing to go from a state and local level, but to get really granular and make it very specific to CNA and your specific locations and employees and the risk tolerance of the culture, right? I think is so important. So I love to see the creative application of, the technologies and the skills, like to empower your team to make those hard decisions.
I couldn't agree more, Stephanie. It's really interesting because as we had previous discussions, one of the opportunities I was looking to see was what sort of support we could get from, outside resources that we don't have in our Global Security Operations Center. And to be able to look into the social media piece, which I thought was the most strengthening force for us, turned out to be great value, not only in this, but I also know going forward for our incident management and threat monitoring as well. And I think it's fascinating for me to be in the business for 34 years and to kind of see the evolution of how we've responded to threats previously to where we do now. The social media piece is just so important. And I think that, the services offered by Prescient, and I think from a physical security perspective, that would be the biggest thing that someone could add, because it's worked out great for us. Even though it's been short-lived to this point, it's added tremendous value.
I appreciate that. I was hoping it would be much more short-lived. I think we're starting to see maybe some light at the end of the tunnel. We heard Lori Lightfoot talk today about maybe Chicago opening back up a little bit, but no, it's been unprecedented as far as this pandemic, how it's taken a turn and how we've all been really agile and adapted to it. So I love to see this.
Well, it is interesting because you kind of look at it even outside of what we do, when you think of all the medical professionals, first responders, all the folks that are on the front lines, whether they're in stores, grocery stores, things of that nature. That's why I think going forward, things are going to turn out even better, because people realize when they rely on each other, things do get stronger. So even in a terrible situation such as this, I think in the end, will be positive overall.
I think you're right, and I sure hope so. So anyway, thank you so much for coming to talk to us today. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. And thank you for all the intelligence and all the knowledge you share weekly. I think that not only helps the security industry, but also all the other corporations that tune in.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions for Carl or anything, feel free to post them below or to connect with him. He is a wealth of knowledge. So anyway, thanks all.